Hello everyone, welcome to my video. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for to my video. The first thing I want to do is give my creator, that's El Elyon, the Most High, all the honor, glory, and praise. There's no other gods beside him. I mean, you hear some of these guys on here talking now that, that he ain't the YHWH, Yod Hey Vav Hey, which is called the Tetragrammaton, is not the true creator because they said he's a jealous God. I'm just going to ask you a question as a parent. Are you jealous for your kids? Do you want your kids worshiping other moms and dads? Same principle. So, yeah, he's a jealous God. He's got a righteous jealousy. That's they say that he's a murdering God because he had all these um, people killed. Well, these people were tainted. Their DNA was tainted. It's all about the DNA. Their DNA got tainted with Nephilim blood, and the heart, their, and the flood of Noah, their hearts were on the evil continually. That's how bad it got because they were mixed with non-humans. They were chimeras, not created by God. They became the creation of Satan. To disrupt the DNA. And folks, it's all about the DNA. It's all about the DNA. You have to keep your DNA as clean as possible. Really, you do. Because if you have, we're adults here, I think most of us, I don't think many kids watch my channel, but if you're having intercourse, you're exchanging DNA with that person. If you're kissing them, you're exchanging DNA with that person. And it that's why God said the husband and wife will become one flesh because their DNA connects together in that transmission of saliva, other bodily fluids. So it's very important because this is what happened with Adam and Eve because it became a seed war. God, as soon as Adam and Eve done whatever they done, whether it been a sexual act, which I'm starting to believe more than now that it was a sexual act. I mean, I'm giving it a 50-50. I try to keep an open mind about what these scriptures mean because you have to really read and study the Hebrew part of them. But because God said the seed of the woman, God told Satan, the seed, I'm going to have to put war between you now because you don't understand what you did uh, to Eve and Adam. So God told Satan, the seed of the woman will crush your head, and your seed will bruise his heel. See, and then Adam and Eve, when God said, "Where are you, Adam?" and Adam said, "We were hiding from you because we were naked. We made they Adam and Eve used fig leaves to make us to cover up their sexual organs. So that it's and even when God asked Eve, said, "What have you done?" She said, "The serpent beguiled me." The translation of that also includes the word seduced. So the Bible it could read that Satan seduced me, the exchanging of the seed. I ain't saying that's exactly what happened, but the more I study this, because it just won't let me, I just can't get away from that because it became about the seed of uh, a seed war, the Satan seed and the woman's seed. So, and then they covered up their sexual parts and before they even seen God, they covered up them parts, and God said, "Who told you you were naked?" I mean, he was wanting Adam and Eve to confess their sins and take responsibility, but was, Eve was deceived, and Adam committed high treason. Is what he did because he blamed it on the woman. When if Adam would have stuck, we don't know exactly what God would have done, but I believe if they would have confessed, they'd still been in that Garden of Eden, not and the evil contained outside of that garden. because God can contain it can contain that evil differently. You know, like He had a hedge around Job, and Satan couldn't get inside that hedge because the main evil was put outside of Job. Just kind of like it was me. In a way, it was me a little bit too, like that, because I I was. I mean, and here's another thing I want to talk about before going any further. Everybody that hears this video, you have to stop and think when you we all accepted the reality that was handed to us. And the church, I'm just going to say this. A lot of people may get mad at me about this, but I'm just going to say this. I was deceived by the church. You know, at least 50%. I always tried to have a true heart, and and uh, and I was still deceived. God said at the end there's going to be a great deception, and the very elect could be deceived. So I'm saying no matter whether you was by the now, I'm not saying anything bad about the church, because there is a church and there is good people that go to churches that are going to go and go to heaven, and but if the Bibles have been translated so many times that you have to really dig to find the true Hebrew meaning. But that ain't what this video was. I didn't mean for this video to be about this, because I'm just going to do a short video here. But uh, I want to show you something. Now, this is just a theory. This is not, uh, what I'm fixing to show you is part of it's a theory. It's, I think it's possible. It could be possible that the state of Arkansas in the new millennium could be the Garden of Eden. And I'm going to show you why that I have this theory. I ain't saying it's true. You don't have to believe me. It don't, it's not a salvation issue, whether you're on this. But I'm just saying I found some interesting information, and I've done some videos lately about what's going to happen when that North and South Pole exchange places in that torus field that we live in. So here's what. Let me find it here right quick. Um, I found a map. This is from FEMA's. This is the FEMA map. What they say is going to look like whenever the North and South Pole changes. Okay, y'all see that? Here's all the ground, all the earth that's going to be removed. Water's going to come in up into these places right here. And y'all see Arkansas? That's where I'm at, Arkansas. Well, I was reading this Wikipedia about the Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Now, yeah, if you remember, if you know anything about the churches, that this guy named Joseph Smith was supposed to have been an enlightened guy, and he invented Mormonism, the Church of Mormons. And they're not all wrong on their theology. Some of it's right, but that's the way it all is. But Adam and Eve's bodies in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve's bodies were created by God the Father and Jesus Christ and were placed in the Garden of Eden, which Joseph Smith taught was located in or near Jackson County, Missouri. All right. Um, so see, Missouri's part of that water is going to go around, and when you read in the scripture, it says the four rivers. Well, there's like four main rivers that's coming down through here, supplying this area that's left. This is just like a big island now. It's going to go down through Conway. Is going to probably get taken in by the water. Part of Little Rock, I don't believe all of it will go, just on the count of the name of the town, Little Rock, because that's part of this whole matrix we live in. You can take the Hebrew gematria, and that is the matrix that we live in, because it will decode this matrix we live in. It'll decode it down to your own personality if you once you start figuring it out. And some people say, "Oh, that stuff's of Satan or whatever." What else could we live in, folks? It's a matrix, a simulation, a virtual reality. And I mean, it's the grandest thing that God ever created, but it has to have mathematical values, and it's a matrix. And the energy, frequency, and vibration, all is measured so for us to exist. But anyway, and that's one reason I say this, because Arkansas is the towns that are named here in Arkansas is rituals. And I'm going to show you that right here. Let me go over here to the map. Okay, yeah, right here is Highway 71. Y'all see that 71? That's a highway I was born on to live on. Well, it goes all the way up to Fort Smith. But all the towns are named like Lucas means light. Abbott means priest. But anyway, there's Huntsville, Huntington, and Mansfield. And I'm going to come back and cover this in a minute, but I want to show you some other things. This is the numbers of these roads make. There's in Mena, Arkansas. There's Highway 80, and sometimes that zero is just a filler, so it can mean Highway 8. If you look at it. But we come down here to Mena, and you can go down on Highway 88, and this is Highway 88 from Mena. You go across here to Pine Ridge. That's like the pineal gland. This is kind of what this stuff I interpret it as. Next, you got Odin. Y'all know like Odin, Odin. That's who this town's named after, is Odin. Then you get to Pencil, like Pencil Bluff. Well, like you're writing a story, like a pencil. Because you get right over here and you get to Ouachita, like, and then there's story. Like this is a story. You can see the matrix before your very eyes, with the maps, the Hebrew gematria matrix that we live in. And then you get on up here. Well, I didn't mean to do that. You get on up here and they start. All right, they've named these towns like Wayne, Nimrod. All right, see, why would you name that's the Antichrist, a symbolism of the Antichrist. Why would you name your town, your lakes, and look what number it's got by it, 6. The highway that surrounds it. Then you got 11, like 11 means chaos. You got Nimrod, and but then you get over here to Little Rock. It was named. There's Alpine. It means all these words mean something. They tell a story, and I'm fixing to show you that story. I've done a video on this once before, like Antioch. That was a Bible name in the Bible. But you get over here to Conway. Y'all know what con means? Convict, a con's way. If this town's going to go away, I believe when the North and South Pole exchange. So if you live in Conway, I would, I ain't telling you what to do or anything like that. I'm just saying that I believe that town will go away just because of its name. And that's why I say that, so they even got Lake Conway, Mayflower, like we came over on, some of us came over on Mayflower. And you got Emmanuel, they call it Maumelle, but it's kind of like Emmanuel. Then you got Little Rock. The Little Rock. Jesus is the big rock, and Jesus said, I'm going to build my house on the rock. Really said Petra, which means rock. So I think part of Little Rock will be saved. Not all of it will be, I don't believe, but I believe there'll be enough of it left to save that. The reason I say that, I'm going back to this right here. Arkansas, y'all see the outline of Arkansas. What's going to be left of it? Well, it's part of Little Rock's still in it. But I don't think Conway, see that makes a dent. There's a little curve right here. I believe it'll take Conway out. And, when the Bible talks about the 4 rivers, there's 1, 2, 3, like 4 main rivers comes in and feeds this Garden of Eden. And I ain't saying this, and y'all remember, I'm just saying this is a theory of mine. It ain't nothing I received from the Lord or anything like that. I mean, it's just when I was researching it out, these things kind of, but what I'm saying, if you have family lives over here in California, y'all see the used to be line right there of this where the land was. Now it's no more, and then it's going to come up and take half of Nevada out, and how they know this, I don't know. I'm not even saying this is what's really going, but the maps, all these maps that they've come up with look similar to this, kind of similar to this, but So anyway, what I was going to do is, all right, I'm going back to right here, the maps. When you get back over here to Fort on Highway 71, where I was raised most of my life and grew up, like there's towns called Gravely and Ally and Onks. You know, I mean, that's what these towns are named. All right, there's Y City. All right, and if you start at Fort Smith, I'm gonna go up here and show you because some of this y'all can research out yourself. You know, you research where you live. You know, the towns around you, and there may be a town in there that don't mean anything. You know, there may be little towns in there that don't mean nothing, just kind of filler towns. So if you live in a town and you can't find no information about it, and the surrounding towns, go to the surrounding towns around you. On like certain numbers mean certain things. Like 17 means God's complete victory. All right, right up here in Fort Smith, one of the main streets is Garrison Avenue. That's my last name. This is my family that this street was named after. That's where my family come from, Queens, New York. Down, they kind of scattered out, come down here to Arkansas, and create. They were some of the people that, uh, named the towns and built the towns. Garrison Avenue. Maybe I don't know how fast my internet is, but okay. Let me make it go up one more. Y'all see Garrison Avenue right here at my cursor, on my cursor at Garrison Avenue, main strip of Fort Smith. Garrison Avenue. That's who my family is right there. So that's where I'm gonna start, Garrison Avenue. I listed the towns in order. Um, from Fort Smith, I went to start from Garrison Avenue, and hey, just please bear with me for a second. I'm gonna have to leave for just a few seconds. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm gonna show you what these towns, because your words speaking is like a kind of like a spell, you might say. They have power. All right, they have power. So when people, the idea is that to create a ritual, you have to have a series of words that mean something. You know, like if you're creating a ritual, and it don't even have to be a ritual. You know, I mean, it can just be the way the matrix is set up. That this is. But like, just say you're in Fort Smith, and you say I got to go to Huntington. Well, you spoke that word, and like I got to go to Witcherville. That's one of the names of the towns on this road. I got to go to Witcherville. You know, and if you look up the word Bill, anytime you see something on the end of a town like Huntington, Mansfield, um, Witcherville, those names, that is just a filler at the end of the name. Most of it don't have any meaning at all. It's just a filler name. The first part of the town is the name, you know. So if you say I'm going to Witcherville, well, you've said the word witch. Okay, that's how this kind of works. Well, I'm gonna start out right here. Garrison Avenue, Fort Smith, White Bluff, Witcherville, Huntington, Slayton, Mansfield, Abbott, Lucas, Lewis. There's a Kings Creek Relief, Waldron, Bowles, and such as that. And I'm gonna come back to this later. But and there's Waldron. Now my name is Garrison. We started out Garrison Avenue. I'm gonna read just a little bit of this. The ancient surnames of Garrison and French pre-17th century origins. It derives from either the popular personal name of Gerald or Gerald. Compromises the elements of Gary, Gari, meaning a spear and hard, brave, while Gerald has the prefix Same prefix of Gary, but the suffix is from Wald. All right, y'all remember there's a town I'm going to talk about, Waldron. The name of that town is Wald, meaning to rule. Okay, um, so that's what my name means, to rule. And it's if y'all can, if y'all have ever seen that, y'all, everybody knows about the painting of Mona Lisa. Her last name was Geraldini. They called them the Geraldinis. That's the same name. That's my family line. It's through Mona Lisa. Through her bloodline. And, they're known for being Italian. Okay, but those people moved around. You could be French and move to Italy, and then it just kind of becomes common. You're Italian. When you're really French or Scottish or Irish or whatever, because they don't know what their last name really is. We've been deceived because of the last names. I looked up the name the other day and I couldn't believe it. The name was Price, and it came from the same Griffith. It's Griffith and Geraldini is the same name, like John F. K. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. That name he was a part of, through his mother, was a part of the um, um, Mona Lisa's bloodline. They don't tell you all that stuff, but I've researched it. You can research it out and you'll see it. Y'all can see it yourself. But that's what my name means. And your name has meaning. Look up your name. You might have to break down every letter because the English is a form of the old Hebrew. It's just reforming back into the original. God said, I'll declare the end from the beginning. Well, it's going to go back to the beginning, the original Hebrew. And you're starting to see people, if you're watching any videos, you're starting to see people talking about Adam and Eve, Adam and Eve. They're talking about it all over again. It's just kind of going in reverse. And and some of them's pretty interesting, but I believe now that I'm 50-50 on the belief that it could be the serpent seed doctrine because of the wordage. Like when Eve said, I've got me a child from the Lord, talking about Cain. Well, then the scripture goes on and says, of which Cain is from the wicked one. Cain is from the wicked seed. That's what the scriptures say, because he killed his brother. He murdered him, so there was something wicked in him, some darkness in him. From that seed that exchanged in Adam and Eve's encounter with the serpent. If you have any darkness in you, you cannot come into God's kingdom and back into the Garden of Eden. Any darkness in you has to go. There's a way to get rid of that darkness. I don't care who you are, and you're not ever going to be perfect. You're always going to sin, but you can get rid of that dark spot. You have to flee it. You have to flee that dark thought. You have to flee. It's a battle of the mind, because when the original fall in the Garden of Eden, the seed of Satan came into the human existence, and God didn't intend for it to be that way, but God knew it before He even created man, Adam and Eve. But He had a plan already made out. The sacrifice of Yeshua, which is Jesus Christ, the blood. It takes, freedom's not free, y'all. Yeah, freedom is not free. Blood, like gunfight, like they have gun battles and stuff, tanks, and they killing people, and it spills blood, and I know we don't really understand the spiritual realm of things because we're spirits in an avatar body, and when it takes blood for freedom, and the people say, oh, how can, in 1973, there's a lot of baby's blood has been spilled since the Roe versus Wade. I was 12 years old. That's the number of government when they began the onslaught, the murder of all these innocent babies. And they named it abortion. They didn't name it murder, but that's what abortion is. And then they started selling parts from these babies. They used from the umbilical cord and stuff, they put it in women's makeup. They put those fluids because it makes you younger. That's why all these evil people have drank blood from these babies and stuff, because it kind of invigorates life a little bit. more, gives them a longer age, because they're drinking that new DNA. They're putting that new DNA in them, and it's merging into one flesh. Just like God said, Adam and Eve will become one flesh because they exchanged their DNA and it attaches itself to each other. And that's why you cannot commit adultery and all that stuff, because you're actually giving somebody, if you're doing that, you're giving somebody else's DNA to your partner, because it's exchanging back into them. So you just can't do that no more. I mean, it's time for us to clean up our DNA, that to watch what we do. We can't be doing that stuff and doing things like that, because we're tainting the. God said Noah's generation was perfect. Noah's genes were perfect. That's what he was saying. Him and um, he hadn't got infected with the Nephilim blood, the giant blood, the seed of the serpent. Noah's bloodline did not have that in it. That's why he was saved. And he was a friend of God's too. Noah was a different kind of a guy. He was, it's a real interesting story in the book of Enoch about Noah, how that came about when he was born and stuff. But anyway, that's not what this video is really about. But his gene, when you see the word genealogy in the Bible, and I done a video here a while back where if you read the Bible backwards, the word DNA is in there. In the genealogy, every time there's a new person being born. If you read it backwards, it says DNA of Noah, DNA of Lamech, DNA of Seth. It's and. If you read it forward, it says and. If you read it backwards, it's DNA of. And you just have to see that in a spiritual sense, that when you read the Bible is really, I know it's been translated, mistranslated, and mistranslated. The King James Version has got some really mistranslated words in it. And you have to go back to the original Hebrew and Greek of the Bible. But the theme of the Bible is still the salvation sacrifice that was made for us to get back to the Garden of Eden. Our Creator made the first sacrifice. When Adam and Eve sinned, God had to kill an animal and wrapped us in animal skin. That's what's really on us, because we shed like once a year. We get new skin every year, because that seed is in itself. Okay, you know what I mean? So God had to spill blood to get those coats of skin for Adam and Eve to cover up their nakedness, kind of, you might say. And because they were light beings. Adam and Eve didn't have this skin on them like we do now. But if you shine a light up to your hand, a flashlight, you can see the glow of the red blood. And, that's the light body that's inside of under this coat of skin. I mean, it's really fascinating when you really dig into the Hebrew meanings and stuff. It's really a fascinating story. I mean, it's just, it's just the matrix that we live in now. That's how it's all happened. But we're going to go back to those light beings. I'm going back, and I'm ready to go myself, But there's just a little bit more work left to do, I believe. And okay, let's get back to my story. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off on the other subjects, but all right. I showed y'all this. This is where all this is coming from. But I'm going to read this to you, because this is the name of the streets, the towns, all the way down to where I live. I was born in Mena, Arkansas, and Mena means ancient Egyptian king. That's one of the meanings of Mena, where I was born. I was born on Highway 7 and 71 and Queens, the streets. So that's why I'm saying you can start figuring this matrix out. You can decode it, and I don't see what's wrong with trying to decode what we're living in, and that's the only way I've seen you can do it, because the Hebrew is numerology. That's where they got it numerology from, is from the Hebrew value system. And I wanted to know the science of God. And here's another thing. When they do experiments where they shine this flashlight or light beam through a slit in a board maybe, or, and they've got a back wall back there. Well, you can go look this up. It's called double slit experiment. They shine they're recording this. They shine the light and it goes through that slit and hits the back wall. It makes a straight line. Just say there's a line in that board. It hits and I've done videos on this where that light beam goes through that slit and they're recording this, uh, what's on that back wall. And it's, when nobody's looking, it's just a straight line. But if somebody turns around and it observes when that light goes through that slit, it hits that back wall, it scatters. It's a scatter pattern, like, a glow of light. So when our eyes are observing, we're seeing what we're programmed to see. If we're not looking, it it's not programmed. Nothing's supposed to, it's just a ray of light on hits that back wall. Hopefully, I explained that a little bit, but it's really interesting to, I mean, to how we're programmed. We're a spirit programmed in an avatar body. All right, here's the towns. I'm starting with my name that was on Garrison Avenue. Fort Smith. Smith means to strike or smite. Then there's White Bluff, Witcherville, Huntington, Slayton. See what I done, folks? I just the words that don't mean anything, I separate them in these towns. Like Mansfield, these are the town's names, and it says field or ville or um, like Tunville, it don't really mean nothing. But all right, here we go. Fort Smith. This is a ritual. White Bluff, Witch, Hunt, Slay, Man, Abbott, Lucas, Lewis, Elm, Kings Creek, and they'll throw these little creeks in on the side sometimes. Kings Creek, because it's part of this matrix. Waldron, Bowles, uh, Y City, Akron, which means tree of life. That's why I'm saying the when you look up Mena in the gematria, it's equals 33, and Arkansas is 88. The original way they spelt it was, and I've done some videos on that. Hatfield, all right. Hat means crown, just thing like that. Cove equals helper of God. Okay, I'm going to start back over. I'm just going to read the ritual now. I've separated Smith, White Witch, Hunt, and Slay. Well, I got that wrong right there a little bit. Let's see. Hunt and Slay Man, which his name is Abbott, equals a priest, a light. And the next town is Lewis, renowned warrior. Elm equals strong and straight king, and king's relief. And now we get to Waldron. You'll remember my name that's part of the suffix of my name of Garrison is Wald. It means Gerald, whatever. So, but I look at it like this because you can exchange sometimes the vowels in here, like O for U, A-E-I-O-U. Wald run. Wald means ruler, strong, brave, and spear. Y'all remember me reading that. But they want me to run. I don't run. And I'm not going to run. Because I know who I am. Bows means bows were obtained, like bow and arrows, like the rider on the white horse, dweller at the sign of the bull. This is the meaning of bows. One with bullish characteristics, like Taurus, the ox, which means Aleph and Tav, the Alpha and the Omega. Then we come down, the next town is Y City. After this Bowles. Y City, like Yah is, Y. And Mena means where I was born as ancient king. And Highway 71, if you read it in Hebrew, means Highway 17. If you read it the right way, Hebrew way, it means 17, which is God's complete victory. All right. Hatfield, hat or crown. This is the first place I ever lived. It's kind of like if the story, my life is just going in reverse because I lived in Colorado. I was born in Mena, moved immediately to Colorado, like that's the most beautiful place I've ever seen, like the Garden of Eden, you might say. And then I come down, the first place I ever lived was in a town called Hatfield, the place of hat or crown. And Cove equals helper of God, and Hatton is the next town. We made hats, or we made crowns, and then we get down to where I lived all my life. I graduated school in Wicks, Arkansas. And if you just use one word there, Wicks, wicked, that's what I call it, wicked. And Grannis equals granny, the next town. And Gillum equals Guillaume, or however that's pronounced. I butchered that, but that's all right. Which they named that town after William the Conqueror. The next town was King and Dequeen. Dequeen means son of the queen. So y'all can see there's kind of a ritual going on there. If you read that, yeah, just go back and read that. Just stop it and just kind of read there and you'll see the ritual. I ain't, but then you get over the town, like I was talking about, all these other towns, Story, Nimrod, it's the matrix that we live in. Because the highway I live on is 278. That's where my land is. It used to be Highway 4, but as soon as I moved there, I got land right on that highway. It changed to 278 all the way to the East Coast. You can look this up. Old Highway 4, which went all the way to the East Coast from the town that I lived, and now, as soon as I moved there, it changed to 278, which if you add that together, equals 17. Then I was born on Highway 17, if you read it the Hebrew way, of Highway 71. So, but anyway, I just thought I'd do this video. I didn't mean for it to be this long. I'm going to try to do another video. Hopefully, I've got one I'm working on. Hopefully, I can get it done. But I'm just saying that it's time for us to wake up. Everybody to start waking up. That's part of my duties here on this earth, is to see this and, see this kind of stuff. And y'all go back and look at my videos. I don't see like nobody else on this earth. Well, I take that back. Some of my family sees. But I've done videos of these vultures. I run into Jezebel up in Fort Smith. You go look at that one there about the spirit that I seen. And I recorded it, and you can see the chains and the mask that she has on. From a reflection of the spirit that was in the air. The scripture says Satan is the prince of the power of the air right now. Adam and Eve handed over. Adam and Eve was the rulers of this whole earth. They were over every animal, and then they handed it over to Satan. Satan became the god of this world, the little g god. He became kind of the ruler because Adam and Eve fell. They listen to Satan rather than the creator, El Elyon. I believe it's YHWH. I believe El Elyon is the light. The characters that God made the story into is YHVH because Jesus' name, Yeshua, is part of that YHWH. So, that's why I'm saying YHWH. They've got it, they're misinterpreting the Bible, I believe, all these people, just because they say God's a jealous God. Yeah, God's creation, he wanted his creation. He gave them the Garden of Eden. He gives them everything their heart desired, and and I'm taking that kingdom back. If I've got anything to do with this, I'm not giving it back I'm taking it away from Satan. Jesus made the way for me to, and I don't care, I want to take everybody with me that I can, but that's not up to me. It's each individual has to do their, here's what I'm going to say to everybody. Get on your knees till you reach God, till you reach the Most High, till you break through to that light. It's what you need to do, and I need to do. I can't stop. I pray continually, telepathically. If I'm not doing a project and my mind gets off God a little bit, as soon as I get a little free time, I go back to thinking of God and what I'm supposed to be doing, and so we can get this over with. And I'm not going to quit till I get my kingdom back. I ain't saying I'm Adam or anything like that, but I'm just saying that we're part of Adam. All of us are a part of Adam. We have to make up our minds to get back to, because that was why man, Adam and Eve lost their communication with God the way it was. It was telepathic communication, but God would speak too, to Adam and Eve, and like verbally. And so, your heart's desire needs to be to get back, to reach till you can break through in prayer till you pray to the Most High. And I recommend. Yeah, I ain't saying it's wrong for people, that um, to do other, things. But God says, "You shall have no other gods before me." In other words, you should have no other influence besides. There's only one mediator between El Elyon and man. That's Christ, Yeshua, Jesus Christ. That's the only person we should be talking to. And to, I mean, but if it's not in your heart to do that, I don't know what else. I can't tell you anything else. But it's been in my heart since I was 5 years old. To talk to God, and I started seeing things when I was 5 years old and 6 years old, and I couldn't figure out what I was. I was just puzzled. What is this place? Is and that I'm in called Earth. What is this place? I look around and I question everything. My papa had some beehives. I stayed with my granny and papa a lot, and he had some beehives. And I got me this baseball and bat when I was like 6 years old, and I would. We had a big old yard, and I'd watch my papa drive his lawnmower like 6 foot away from that beehive so he wouldn't get stung, because they was swarming this. They was going in and out of these hives, and he wouldn't get right up there close to it, and until like at night or something, whenever the bees were all in, that's when he'd go mow up close to the beehives so he wouldn't get stung. But in the daytime, he wouldn't mow like 6 or 10 foot from the beehive. One day I had my new baseball and bat, and I'd practiced about a week, I guess, knocking that ball, throwing that ball up in there and hitting it, knocking it towards that beehive, which was a long ways from where I was hitting. I could get it about halfway there, when I'd hit that ball. And one day I threw that ball up, I hit it, and I watched that ball roll and roll and roll. I thought, oh gosh. And that thing rolled up within 2 foot of that beehive. I looked at that ball out there for about a week. I'm thinking, and I'd pray, God, I want my ball. I want my ball back, but I'm scared of them bees. And one day I just felt like, I just had the inspiration to walk out there and get that the bees was not going to sting me. Just go up there and get my ball that's close to that beehive. And I did. I walked up there, I mean, I had to be brave to do that. And when I got up there, I could see that slot in that beehive where the bees would go in and out. I could see that honeycomb. And, there's a queen bee inside that box that all these worker bees, they protect her and stuff. Kind of like a king does his queen. Uh, he has people protecting his queen, and so anyway, I walked up there and I got within about a foot where I could look into that beehive, and those bees were going kind of swarming all around me, but they stayed kind of away from my head, and stuff. They didn't sting me. I didn't get stung that one time, and I got my ball and I looked in there at that beehive, and I thought, wow, that's a funny design. That structure of that beehive is. Uh, but anyway, thank y'all for coming to my channel. This video, please like and share my videos, because YouTube has me banned, shadow banned. They give me strikes all the time, because there is no such thing as free speech no more. And they will not promote. There's a few people they will not promote on the internet. One of them is called Robinhood, and he's somebody high in the hierarchy of God. This Robinhood, his name is Robin Henry Tees, and he says he's the most GameStop person on this earth, but I'd have to disagree with him on that. But he is. I mean, they do GameStop him heavy, 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 because he's a thinker. He's a. I don't know which for sure which one he is, but he's an angel of some. He's somebody in the hierarchy. I mean, big. He's one of the bigger ones up there in the hierarchy of God's government and stuff. But anyway, thank y'all for coming to my video.